Ezekiel Elliott's rushing yards per game have dipped every year since entering the league, and many are now taking note. His total scrimmage yards have also taken a major dip the previous 2 seasons after signing a historic contract extension. This prompted the Athletics' Bob Sturm to ask if it's time for Dallas to move on from their star running back. He writes that the Cowboys, quote, may have to do something they seldom do around here: own a mistake and move on. Shannon, do you agree?
No, I don't agree, Skip, and I get it. Zeke has not played particularly well this season, but when you take Dak Prescott out, Tyron Smith is out, Lyle Collins is out, Zach Collins has missed a game, and the offensive line isn't very good. And everything, like you said, the running back is a dependent position. It's dependent on the offensive line being able to get him to the line of scrimmage. Skip, you saw some of those plays in Pittsburgh. Zeke get the ball, and they're already tackling him. And so for me, Zeke is low-hanging fruit. It's easy to do that. Zeke. He has the historic contract. But I want you to know, I wanted somebody to tell me, do they believe Amari Cooper? Now, Amari Cooper is in line salary-wise with DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones. Do we believe he's played to that level? Do we believe he's played to a Devontae Adams level? Do we believe he's played to a Stephon Diggs level? Not even close.
Okay, but he wasn't before he got his money. Zeke was playing at a high level before he got his money.
But that's my thing. Okay, Zeke went to the Pro Bowl last year. Zeke was what, 4th in rushing? Okay, he's having a down year. So after one down year, you move on. So, I mean, there are a lot of guys, Skip. D-Law has 8 sacks in 25 games. Jalen Smith, is he living up to that contract extension? It's because Zeke has the bigger of the names. He's the lowest of the hanging fruit. He's the easiest guy to point out and says, well, you need to move on from that. Now, sure, you could do that, but I think it would be a sizable dead cap hit. I believe probably they might be asked Zeke to come in and sit down and have a conversation and redo the contract. But I don't think they should move off of Zeke after one down year. Now, he could turn it around and end up going over 1,200 yards, and it works out, but Skip, I don't really think it's realistically to cut Zeke right now because that's going to be too much. And if you're trying to sign, the last thing you need, Skip, is to have $14, $15 million of dead money, and you're trying, you believe they're going to franchise Dak again and have to pay him $38 million. You're going to pay a guy, have a guy counting $14 million, $15 million against your cap, Skip, and he's not even on your roster. So for me, I believe they give it another year. Hopefully everybody comes back intact. Tyron Smith is getting on up there next year. That's a lot of collisions on his body. How well will Lyle Collins come back off of that hip surgery? Zach Martin is getting on up there in the years, Skip. So it's going to be, I believe you run it back. You give Zeke an opportunity. Now, you might have to come in and say, Zeke, look, we got to put some of this money in incentives. 100-yard games. We get to the playoff, you lead the league in rushing or whatever, that big Pro Bowl, things of that nature, Skip. But I don't believe they should just cut Zeke after one down season.
So, I first guessed this. I was way, way, way ahead of the curve, and yet this has become, for me, as a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan, grades tell them, and he's all the way down to 54th.
Right.
So Monday night, I had to sit and watch that game, and I watched Dalvin Cook, who is now leading this league at 119 yards per game. I had to watch him hit holes like lightning. Well, I'd just be like, whew. Zeke hits holes right now like a flickering light bulb that is about to burn out. The light bulb that starts to flicker and it's about gone? That's how Zeke hits the hole. Zeke is now making the backup running back for the Cowboys, Tony Pollard, look like Dalvin Cook, because when Pollard comes in, it's like, oh, a breath of fresh air, a burst. Who knew? We haven't seen that. And what happened against Pittsburgh? The last time we saw the Cowboys play, they're obviously on a bye week until next Sunday. And I saw Tony Pollard twice against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the #1 ranked defense coming into that game. I saw him tear off 2 20-yard gains. I think we have those if we want to see them. This is like, what? Where did that come from? Would you believe that Zeke has carried the ball 150 times and has no 20-yard runs? And here's another one. Was it the blocking? Was it his burst? Was it his ability just to get outside quick enough that he actually was able to meet the hole while it was open?
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe Tony Pollard could do that, getting the ball 25, 30 times a game?
I doubt it. But as a changeup, it's shocking to my eyes and a sight for very sore eyes to say, wow, look at that. So what have we also seen from Ezekiel Elliott? Well, I hark back to the Thursday night game at Chicago last year. It was a turning point game for a team that I still had the highest hopes for. And Jerry said after the game, on the flight up, the coaching staff, I'm sitting with the coaches, they were dead set that we were going to win this game.
What they was going to say?
It's Mitchell Trubisky at Chicago on Thursday Night Football. And what happened in the second quarter, they're down 10-7, and Zeke rips off his longest run of the year. It went 32 yards. And then he carried for 4 yards, and then he carried for 2 yards, and he waves out. I'm gassed. You're gassed? We had Eric Dickerson here, who I think is the greatest running back who ever played. And he's like, the last thing I'm going to be right then is gassed.
Right.
I want to take it home because it's my drive. I set up this drive. I'm going to finish this drive. I want pay dirt.
Right.
And Zeke is waving out, and I'm saying, what are you doing? And you know what happened? Pollard comes in cold, and he can't go anywhere, and then Dak has to toss it to the fullback on a 3rd and 5, and it goes nowhere, and then they miss a field goal, and that was the end of the game for them. It went south from there. And then this year, the Eagles game, you realize my team led 9-7 at halftime with Ben DiNucci at quarterback.
Yeah.
So this is Zeke's game. This is where Shannon Sharp would say, you've been pounding your side of the desk. Zeke.
Yeah.
The offense has to run through Zeke. So they say, okay, Zeke, it's your turn. This is opening drive of the third quarter, and he goes 9 yards and 6 yards and 8 yards, and I'm thinking, that's 2016 Zeke. Maybe he just came back.
Yeah.
Maybe he's here to stay. And I look up, and Tony Pollard's in the game.
I told you.
He's in the game. What are you doing?
You say
Zeke,
what
are you doing?
You told me Zeke needed a blow. You good with Tony Pollard?
I guess so. But Tony does okay. He rips off a 7-yarder,
Right.
then a 3-yarder, but then a 9-yarder. And I'm thinking, okay, let him go. Let him finish the drive. And Zeke comes back in. He needed a little rest. And he goes for a grand total of 2 yards on the next carry. And now they're down to the 26-yard line, 2nd and 8. And all of a sudden, I didn't know if it probably came from Mike McCarthy, is saying, I don't trust our run game at all. I'm going to run a trick play because they've been running trick plays the whole game. I'm going to let Cedric Wilson throw it on a reverse pass. And Fletcher Cox just blows the hell out of it. It's a -10, and it goes backward. It's 3rd and 18, and old Nooch, he goes backward and incomplete. And you know what happened? They missed a 52-yard field goal, and that was the ball game.
Right.
So once again, it's another turning point in which Zeke was not a $15 million man. They gave him the most money any running back in the game got. $15 million, and it inspired deals that came right down the pipeline soon after. Kamara got his, then McCaffrey got his, Dalvin got his, Derrick Henry got his, and even Joe Mixon got his.
Right.
Those are 5 straight deals. All 5 of those guys are playing at a much higher level right now than Ezekiel Elliott.
There's no question about it. No, I'm not here to debate that. There's no question about that. But Skip, if you think about it, only one got a deal that superseded Zeke's.
Only one. Okay.
So maybe those guys like, hold on. We're starting to see what's going on with Zeke. But Skip, I don't believe the Cowboys are as committed to running the football. Now, we know Minnesota. And if you look at the teams that run the football really, really well, Skip, it's out of the Shanahan tree, or they're committed to it. You look at Cleveland. Where did that guy came from? He came from Minnesota with Gary Kubiak. You look at the 49ers. You look at the zone read, and Derrick Henry. Skip, they're going to run the football. So the Cowboys, you can't like, okay, we're going to run it this game. No, you got to be committed to whatever you do. Be committed to it. Now, Skip, I'm not saying Zeke is the same Zeke 2016 as he is in 2020 because 1,500, 2,000 carries says absolutely not. But if you believe that offensive line is as dominant as it was in 2016, as it is currently today, that's not true either.
Okay. 2019, my least favorite stat in the history of football was that Ezekiel Elliott had the 2nd most carries in the league on first down.
Right.
His yards per carry on first down ranked 18th. It's bad math. It won't work because you're trying to say establish Zeke. Let's just feed the beast.
Right.
Let him eat on first down, and the food is falling off his spoon before it even gets to his mouth, right?
Well, Skip, you got to Skip, can I get some creativity? I mean, at some
Okay,
point in time,
they don't have it. They just say here.
Well, that's Mike McCarthy. That was okay. Jason Garrett, 8-8 Jason Garrett,
Yep.
just coach clap. Okay, I get that. But you told me Mike McCarthy was a made man. He's got a Super Bowl. He was one of the foremost play callers for there was a time that Mike McCarthy was a great play caller. Give me some creativity. You just can't give the kid to say, you got to play games with this an airplane, to get him to eat it. You just can't say, okay, son, that's spinach or that's potatoes, eat that. You gotta play with it. Skip, give him some creativity.
I'll buy that. But I ask you, do you see the same burst that you saw in 2016?
No, Skip.
You do not.
But Skip, I was trying to tell you, no, Skip, it ain't the burst in 2016. If I can just get you to
but
get
it's
past...
not like he's 35 now.
No.
He's still 25 years old.
Skip, I need you to get past Ohio State and what you saw against Michigan, against Wisconsin, against Coach Saban, and what you saw against Oregon.
I got it. I know the old cliche is the shelf life of an NFL running back is like 2.8 years.
Right.
But with a Zeke, transcendent, a very special running back, couldn't he at least give you 5 years, maybe?
But Skip, and O and I, we were talking about it, Skip. You have to look at, okay, Zeke, how serious is Zeke taking the offseason? Is Zeke doing what it takes to have...
Orlando Scandrick.
Yeah.
Well, he said that on the air. It looks like he's put on a few too many pounds.
So, look at Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson ran the contact as much as any running back in the history of the game.